Hello everyone, the Victoria is here, and this is where we last left our screwdriver. We have a lovely normal map that we had baked, and this starter blend file is available via my Patreon. However, you have to become a member of my Patreon. It totally doesn't cost any money. There is a join for free button on my Patreon page. You just have to click on it and then you will have access to this starter blend file. I just saved this file under a different name so that I will not mess up this lovely starter blend file. You might wanna do so too. First, let's create a mask which separates the plastic part and the metal part. Here I am in Inkscape. Let's choose this desktop, and now let's adjust the document properties. 125, 128, sorry. Let's import the normal that we had created in the last video. Let's add a rectangle that is covers the metal part, and then let's make it white. And we need another rectangle. Let's make it black, and let's make it move down so that the white rectangle is at the top. And now you can export this. Instead of page, let's choose the document, and then it's going to export the right way. I already had one, so I just replaced it. The other preparation that we should do is to create some kind of cavity map for this handle part, because I want to make sure that in these cavities there will be some dust, and this is kind of what I would like to model. So let's grab this high poly model and create a new material for it. And since we are in cycles, let's add ambient occlusion map, and let's reduce the distance to 0.05, and let's connect, and let's go to cycles. And what we need to do is to add a color ramp, because this is going to be a mask for the dust. What I want to do is to make sure that these areas are white where I want the dust, and where I do not want dust is black. You can vary it, you can move it right up at the top. I think I am going to stuck with this sort of middle amount of dust. So let's activate the handle LP, and we need a new image. Let's call it dirt mask. 128, 128. We don't need an alpha channel for this one. Let's create a new one. Let's add a image texture here. Let's click on this drop down and let's choose the dirt mask. This is a non-color data. And let's go back and select until the handle LP is bright orange, and this other guy is a bit less bright orange. And what we need is to bake is a diffuse bake. We don't need the direct nor the indirect, just the color. And it's totally irrelevant if the clear image is not there or not there, since for the metal part it's black. Let's hit bake, and now we have a lovely baked dirt mask. I just wonder why this is so white here. Let's turn on this only local, and then let's see what we've got. Now this is more like it. I think these other low poly parts were affecting the bake, but I left it there just in case it happens to you too. Let's save this image as a dirt mask. I don't quite understand why isn't got refreshed. If I rebake a texture, then sometimes Blender doesn't really refresh what's going on, but I kind of like this one. So let's turn on the visibility of this low poly part. So first of all, let's set up our shader. Let's turn off this base color. So we need a mix shader, and we need to duplicate this principled CSDF, and we need an image texture that is our mask. Actually, I saved it mask.png. This is a non-color data, and this will be the factor that we are going to mix these two shaders. Let's make this guy to be a dark gray, and let's see if this is correct or we need to switch. And let's go back to Eevee. By the way, I have a Node Wrangler enabled. You can find it under the add-ons. If you cannot find it under the add-on, then it might be in extensions. It's hard to figure out which add-on comes from which place. In one tab you can find it and click on enable it, and in this way, if you are clicking on an image texture and you are clicking on Ctrl T, then it's going to add this mapping and the texture coordinates. Let's shift right click, and that creates a noodle in the middle. So let's add this to this normal map as well. So what is easier to set up is the metallic part. So this will be this bottom one. If I click on this shader and I click on Shift Ctrl T, then I can select the textures or the images that makes up the material. I've downloaded from AmbientCG.com this Metal 46A texture. Let's select all and click on Principal Texture Setup, and let's move these aside. We are going to need them later on, and unfortunately this displacement has been set up too, which I don't want. What I like to do is to group these values. Let's select them all and let's hit the Ctrl G, because in this way it doesn't really bother us doing the rest for this texture. And here this is using the UVs, but this is not quite what I want, because I would like to decide where the UVs are for this specific case. And for that I am going to create a new UV map, and let's go to UV editing, and this is actually the displacement map. So let's scale it down, and let's grab the color one and move it around here, but you can choose any area of this texture, it doesn't really matter. Let's actually name this whole node group something more meaningful. Let's go to the node group, let's rename like so, and let's get rid of this texture coordinate, and let's add a UV map, and let's select this UV map one, and let's connect it to the vector. You might even add this to this mapping group or section, or however this is called. Sorry, I just short-circuited. My brain has short-circuited, so I forget. Copy these values so that we know F2 you can access the rename menu, and if you are double clicking here you can access the name of these sockets. The normal is fine, and what I would like to do is to add a displacement beneath the normal as well. Okay, now I am good with it, and as you can see in the shader editor, it is going to take up much less space than it is. Now we have this lovely normal map we had baked, and what I would like to do is to add this metal normal map to the normal map we had already. But there isn't any direct way in Blender to daisy chain normal maps, so I just going to add a displacement. So let's Shift A, let's add a bump node, and let's connect the existing normal map, and let's connect the displacement as height, and let's make this a normal map. However, this is way too strong, so let's divide it by 1000, and let's make the strength like 0.5. And I think I quite like this arrangement, and the cool thing about this texture that the seam is at the back and it's hardly visible at all. So I think I can leave it like this. I don't really need anything else to this. Now let's go back to the plastic part. So there is a lot more work to do. A cool texture here at AmbientCG, which is the plastic 007, and let's grab the textures for it, and let's hit the Shift Ctrl T, and let's set up the shader. What I would like to do is to use a different mapping on this one, and let's grab this guy and let's check the texture space, and the highest number is 0.04. Here the highest number is 0.07, so let's grab the 0.07, and let's grab this 0.07 here, and let's choose the object coordinated, and let's use this box method with a blending of 0.2, and let's repeat. So let's do the same grouping as we did before. Ctrl G. So let's grab these guys and move back somewhere closer than we had before. I do not want to use this base color, and let's move back the alpha to 1. But instead I want to use some slightly warmer. Let's really zoom in, and let's grab this, a nice warm red color, something like that. And let's add a input RGB. It's so confusing that this is called an RGB and everything else, everywhere else, the color is color. But whatever, this is going to be the base color of this object. And now let's play with this dirt mask. And let's add a mix color node. And this will be the factor. And I think the second color should be the dirt, which I would like to make it some kind of dark orange color. So let's hit Shift Control and left click, and now I can preview what have I done. And I kind of like this dirt, however, this is not very detailed. So what I figured, if you take a look at this roughness map, this is quite a nice way of adding some extra dirt. So let's duplicate this mix color node and let's grab a color ramp and let's adjust this color. This ended up pinch back, which is not nice. Let's take a look at this mix node. So by adjusting this, I can make this dirt appear more or less on this surface. Let's move these guys back a bit. As you can see, I am not the most organized when it's come to this node things. So this is going to be our base color. The roughness, it would be quite nice for roughness. So let's preview this material. What I would like to do is to duplicate this mix color. So grab the original dirt mask, grab this color and then mix them together. And let's see the factor. Let's go for 0.5, but the problem is that it's going to make the original roughness smoother, so and go for screen. That's better. So this is what I want for roughness. Let's preview our texture. And yeah, this is a nice, lovely, dirty screwdriver handle. What I also want to play with is this transparency value. Since we are going to use this asset in Unity, and the universal render pipeline, I just want to use some simple alpha values, and the minimum value could be like 0.8, but I also would reflect this roughness, so it's kind of the same. The dirt is not transparent in any shape or form. So what I can do is to add a color ramp somewhere here, and unfortunately that connected the normal, which I didn't quite like. And I would like to add this calculated roughness, and let's move it to the alpha. And since the minimum value should be 0.8, let's pick this 0.8 and the maximum value should be 1, but we are not going to see anything if we are previewing it with Shift Control left click. So temporarily the 1 value, let's make it red. And in this way we are going to see how much the transparency is affected. and I think I quite like something like this. So let's turn it back, this one, to white. And now this could be the alpha. And let's see our screwdriver. It's looking nice. Now the only thing left is to deal with the normal map. So we had these lovely baked normal maps from before, and I would like to add this texture's normal map. So let's shift this bump node, and let's connect the normal map, and let's connect the displacement here. And I think this is looking quite nice now. And the only thing left is to preview our lovely shader. And you might wonder, because in Blender, as you can see, this 0.8 alpha value, it doesn't seem to be too large. You can barely see this metal part. But what I have experienced, that when we are going to export it in Unity or import it in Unity, this is going to look just fine. And I think this is the end result for this tutorial. I hope you have enjoyed it and learned something from it. In the next tutorial, I'm going to bake this material such way that Unity can use it, because this procedural material is only existing Blender's world, and Unity doesn't make a sense of it. So we have to bake it into proper textures, and then later we are going to import it in Unity and set it up there. So stay tuned, and if you like this video, then please like and subscribe, and check out my Patreon page for more information about this tutorial. Bye for now.